The impudence, the audacity, the unmitigated gall of those knuckleheads of liberty podcasters, daring to voice opinions outside the mainstream of accepted thought. Listen if you dare. It's angry, it's funny, it's even sometimes sad, but it's always based on freedom and justice, as you will see. Here's our host, Jason McPhee.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. We are coming at you on July 20th, 2022. And I tell you, it's Biden. He just keeps flubbing nonstop. Anybody ever see that movie Flubber? I mean, that's what he seems like, is just something that is endless flubs. But before we get into anything, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. In our upper right-hand corner,
Using flubber to fly the plane.
there you go. In our upper right-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. My name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host. So I tell you, if it's almost like Biden's endless entertainment or something for us. If it wasn't so costly, it might be fun. but I tell you, these tickets, I'd like a refund anyway.
Yeah.
So one of the things he was criticizing Trump for was the handling of the relationship with Saudi Arabia during his administration. So the Crown Prince of Arabia, there was a reporter named Khashoggi, and he went in for a visit to, he had been a critical journalist of the Saudi Arabia, and he went in to the prince's facilities, I think here in the United States, and he did not come out. Nobody ever saw him again. There was video.
I think he was killed in Turkey. I think he went into
Turkey?
the embassy in Turkey, and somebody, they killed him there.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I know wherever it was, he was caught on video going in to talk with the Crown Prince into a meeting, and he never came out.
Right.
And so the issue was that here is a regime that is murdering journalists, kind of like I murdered that word. He's just murdering journalists, and so the Biden and many Democrats were very critical of Trump back then for not coming out right and condemning, this and cutting ties with Saudi Arabia, essentially. And so when now that Biden's in office, and his terrible environmental policies have wound up leaving us thirsty for gasoline, and many people just crying at the pump over how much they're paying. He finds himself going hand in hand to get some temporary relief from Saudi Arabia. And what's he do when he shows up? After criticizing, this crown prince as a murderer, suddenly he's there fist bumping with him. Apparently, the fist bump, he was worried that he might be seen as a hypocrite if he were shaking hands with him. His solution apparently is to give him the old fist bump like you would one of your buddies, So, it's kind of the thug life for Biden. What do you guys think about this? It just seems too crazy for words.
Well, first of all, I think the fist bump is just more COVID craziness on display for the cameras. I think that's all that is.
No, it was not. No, just to be clear, it was not. He fist bumped this guy that's on the screen right now, but there are two other guys next to him that he shook hands with.
And also too, when he went to visit other leaders after this, he was shaking hands.
This was not COVID. This was not COVID.
Okay. Well, so just Leon, for clarification, is this the same Saudi prince that had his brother put under house arrest? Older brother, that was the rightful heir to the throne.
Yes.
Is this the same guy?
Yes. This is MSB. Yeah. MBS. I'm sorry. MBS. Yes.
Okay. Is this the same guy for political reasoning, for political advantage? Started the war against Yemen with the help of the United States. Is this the same Saudi crown prince?
Yeah, it's him.
Same guy.
He's the guy in charge of. Effectively, he's the ruler of Saudi Arabia right now. He is.
Yeah. Okay. So So this is the same evil crown prince that these. So just goes to show that, hey, if you're evil, leader of the world, even the biggest leader, I guess, if you want to call the president that, and you fist bump with another evil leader, I guess the two of you are two peas in a pod. Is that also a correct statement?
No, I mean, Biden and his whole agenda is what's at play here. Okay, I mean, there's some real lunacy going on here. I mean, Biden is about to declare that climate change is a crisis, is a national emergency, and that will give the federal government all kind of powers to do all kind of crap to us.
Yeah.
But while he going to Saudi Arabia and fist bumping with MBS, who is some kind of rogue leader who is doing all kind of stuff in Saudi Arabia, even outside Saudi Arabia. This particular thing you're talking about, Jason, the reason why it was such a big deal here in the United States, the guy who went into that embassy and disappeared, it was in Turkey. He disappeared. He was not a American citizen, but he was a green card holder here in the United States.
And he was a reporter for the Washington. I mean, he was a journalist for the Washington Post. I think,
exactly. He was a journalist for the Washington Post, but what he was saying and writing about the Saudis, MBS and company did not like it, so they dispatched someone. Of course, nothing is going to happen in Saudi Arabia without MBS's approval. So they sent somebody to kill him, to disappear him, and that was the end of it. We never heard from him again. But Biden is now keeping company with this guy because he is destroying the oil and gas industry here at home. He's about to declare climate change a national emergency. They need oil to lower gas prices. And
time out. About that declaration of climate change as a national emergency, I heard that they postponed that because it wasn't quite enough of an emergency or something. Or yeah, I don't know. Remember, just today or yesterday, they were going to declare the national emergency. I thought an emergency was an emergency, like right now, and not, oh wait, well, we're going to declare that an emergency in the future when it's more of an emergency or whatever. I mean, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, apparently, domestic CO2 emissions are more of a threat than imported CO2 emissions.
Exactly. So you got to get this right, Tim. You got to get this right. Okay. So, this clown who's sitting in the White House, think it is okay to get oil from MBS and company, but it is wrong and evil to get oil from our domestic producers.
Right.
And this is how we plan to lower gas prices, by taking oil from Saudi Arabia, who is led by a man who we know have done some horrible things all over the world. Okay, and this is the clown that's running the country. God help us.
Yeah, I don't mind buying oil from the evil people. Okay, I don't mind, because I buy pencils. Well, not very often, but if I did. I wouldn't know who made those pencils or how evil or good they were, and I wouldn't really care.
True.
They're made from parts and processes all over the world, and I have no way of tracking that. However, I have an issue with supporting them or going over there and fist bumping to ask favors or any of that nonsense, and supporting their war against Yemen, and starving tens of thousands of people and giving them cholera when you're not starving them to death. Okay, this I have an issue with. I have an issue with taking blood and treasure from the United States and allowing for this kind of evil to occur. I got an issue with that, a big issue. Okay, but I don't have an issue with buying from evil people. If that's accidentally what you're going to do in the marketplace, you buy the cheapest oil you can get, and so on and so forth. So, and again, it's not necessarily Biden buying the oil; it's the oil companies and other consumers of oil and producers of oil. So there you have it.
Well, speaking of big government policies, big centrally planned Democrat government policies that have us potentially starving to death. This takes us to a California policy, and maybe we could get that up on the screen. There was a law that passed a while back called, I believe it was AB 5,
Yeah.
and in California, and it was an anti. It was a essentially it was a law that was supposed to kind of go against gig workers in the sense that it said that they were being, it was trying to unionize them. Essentially, that's what they were pushing for.
Mm.
But there's, that part of the new economy is to allow people a lot of flexibility, right? So I mean, if somebody needs them to come do something, they can just decide yes, no. I can drive somebody on Uber, or I can, go drive a load of product somewhere from one place to another. I can go play that song at that bar that night, whatever. I mean, these are sort of, the gig economy that we're in right now. Well, apparently, the law was written so haphazardly that it captured a lot of the truckers out there, people who own their own trucks. And so and they thought they had a carve out, I guess, where they had gone in and, with their lobbyists and managed to get an exemption. There were quite a few different groups that were trying to get these exemptions um, from this law, and so now apparently that's been kicked, and we're in a situation with all of this trouble we have with supply chains. Now suddenly we may have trouble with trucking in California because central planners want to tell you where and when and how much you should be working. Apparently that's not up to you. What do you guys think about this?
But you see, there's a prohibition in the in the federal constitution that Congress shall make no laws that interfere with the obligations of contracts. Okay. Apparently, this doesn't apply in California. I don't know why it does not also apply in California, because I don't know where the state of California gets its authority, to interfere with a contract between an employer and his employee. Okay, whether that or anyone for that matter, because if me as a individual choose to be an independent contractor, I used to be an independent contractor at one time with a private university. That is my choice. It should be my choice. I would think I don't need the state government to tell me, well, no, Paul Leon, you should not be an independent contractor. They are really discriminating against you. They are really oppressing you. They are really exploiting you. So let's make this law to protect you, and then everything will be nice and wonderful. But what they are doing, really and truly, is destroying a certain sector of the economy, because now they are forcing employers to uh, to take people as employees and not as independent contractors. All kind of rules and regulations they now have to deal with, making it much more difficult to function within a supposedly free economy. So I have a real problem with this nonsense, and I can see why it's going to affect the truckers, because the truckers are all owner operators. They contract with whoever they're going to contract with, and they ship the goods I should say, all over the United States. Fine, the system have been working so long, so very well. Even Uber and Lyft, the system is working very well. But here comes California with their utopian logic, with the utopian garbage that say no, 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 we're gonna fix it for you. No, all that is happening here is the lobbyists for those for taxi services like Yellow Cab and Company went to the legislator and got them to pass this law, and now it's going to have devastating effects upon the trucking industry. That's what's happening.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens when people don't get their Amazon stuff, or people don't get their food because because they don't have enough truckers to truck it all in, because
All right.
it's going to take a while. I'm sure that eventually there will be some kind of it harms the little guy that's trying to be an entrepreneur, that's trying to um, uh, start a business for themselves. They hate in it's all this whole personal freedom thing, which they hate, especially in California, Justin Trudeau style, and they are going to try to create this situation where they only have the biggest companies that can employ these truckers. So they will grow in California, and the expense of moving goods and goods mainly across the state will increase over time. If there may be shortages for a while, and then eventually they'll figure a way to, with more expense, of course, that's going to come out of your pocket. I mean, it's you're going to pay for it. You people that voted for AB5, you morons, you economic imbeciles, are going to pay for it, as you should, because you're idiots, and you should pay, so you should pay all of your income just to barely survive in living in California, because that's what it's coming to.
Well,
And
and quite frankly, though, AB5 too, just to clarify, that was an assembly bill, so it would have only been voted by on lawmakers. But I mean, obviously, the voters have given a monopoly to this crazy
there was
party
another
that
one.
keeps putting this stuff forward. So,
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about AB5. I'm sorry. I think there was something on the ballot, though, that was.
Yes, went on the
Oh, yeah.
ballot too.
There was
Well,
a
the
ballot
ballot actually made it a little bit better. It didn't make it to what it should have been, but the ballot, it did pass, but it made it just a little bit better as
Okay.
Compared to AB5.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just the end result, and the left just loves centralized stuff, and they love, apparently. I mean, they say they don't, but they love big, huge corporations, and they hate the little guy, the little mom and pop thing, the little individual, the little oh crap! What you just said it, Leon.
What?
The independent contractor.
Independent contractor. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
the independent contractor. They hate them. Okay, and the person that's trying to make a better life for themselves, they hate that. They just want everybody to be in a little cookie cutter situation. Just be a nice W-2'd employee, and don't own your means of production. Do not be a producer. They just want these little minion tax-paying consumers and nobody else. I mean, this is no longer the state of opportunity. This is the state of compliance.
Yes.
Well, quite frankly, it's this cradle to grave mentality. The idea that schools really aren't preparing people to come out and be individually responsible. Their message is essentially, hey, look, the state is taking care of you, and if not the state, then a big company that we will regulate very closely until you get to retirement, in which case you'll be back in our cradle again.
Yeah. And the big company just loves these kind of AB5 style laws, because that just reduces their competition.
Exactly.
And that's what's happening. So these truckers are going to depart the state, and they'll go serve other states that are more freedom loving, and California will pay the price.
Yeah. But that point you talk about these big companies is such a good point. Because look at during COVID, look at what happened. All the big stores, Walmart, Target, all of them stayed open for the most part. I mean, they had to make some adjustments to how their customers enter the store and all that kind of stuff, but they stayed open. Who got crushed? Is the little mom and pop type. They got crushed. Nearly a whole bunch of them will never open again because of these regulations that favor the big guys and the crushed little guys.
And it would have been ugly, but they should have protested. They should have stayed open. They should have, you said, come and arrest me, take me to jail. I'm gonna stay open, and then that But of course, everybody's a minion now. Nobody's got any backbone. No one has any guts to stand up to this kind of tyranny. And so and of course, I can see some of their point of view, because they didn't know how long it was going to last, how long this tyranny was going to continue. They didn't realize it was going to continue 6, 8, 10 months or whatever it was, and would drive them out of business, because who's got that kind of cash laying around in the bank account to to pay the rent on their shop or whatever it is, their brick and mortar place where they conducted business at one point in time, back in a little bit more freedom era, which is gone, especially in California.
Unfortunately, we don't have a vaccine for small businesses to take from horrific authoritarian government control, right? Because that turns out to be a lot more hazardous to small businesses.
Yeah,
we all need that vaccine, Jason. All of us.
Yeah, I think it's called whiskey on the rocks.
I don't know. Well, hopefully we're delivering a little bit of that vaccine with our little part on this show.
Indeed,
But
indeed,
when we
indeed.
talk about these central planners and just the chaos they create in our lives, now we go over to the story with this Britney Griner over in, yeah, she's a WNBA star. She was traveling in Russia, and apparently she had a few vials of cannabis oil, I guess, in her luggage, and now she's being arrested, or she had been arrested there, and she's been sitting in a Russian prison, I guess, for several months. And so I think she's gone on trial recently. I'm not quite sure how that's worked out, but they were pleading for the Biden administration to intervene. And of course, we have our own war on drugs. I mean, how hypocritical. We literally imprison so many people for use in this country, and then we see somebody who fits the right political narrative is arrested for the drug laws in another country, and suddenly everybody wants our government to jump into action and thwart their drug laws. I mean, personally, I mean, I'm against all these crazy laws that tell you what you can and can't put into your own body, but just the hypocrisy of it. I mean, the idea that the planners who think that the war on drugs is great, and then they want to jump in and have this woman released in Russia. What do you guys think about this? I mean, when should we uh,
Oh no.
be jumping into other
Oh
people's?
no. I
Yeah.
feel the H word coming on. That's what I feel. What do you is that what's going on?
Hypocrite. Hypocrite.
Yeah. Can you can you talk about this, Leon, without using the notorious H word?
I'll try. I'll try my best, Tim. I'll try my best.
It's
Okay.
Yes,
catchy. Hypocrite.
yeah, yeah, yes. No, I mean this. You guys are right. But this war on drugs, which have done so much harm to so many individuals here in the United States, and now obviously it's also have done harm to people worldwide. In this particular case, this girl, I mean, she was clearly breaking the law, well, it's based upon Russian law. She was breaking the law by having these vials, and this is one thing that American citizens have to be very careful about. When they go travel abroad, they're not traveling with the U.S. Constitution with them. They're going to a foreign country where they may or may not have a fighting chance. She's in Russia, and Russia has some people that they want to get released here here in the United States, and so she's now become something of a political pawn. Now, for this thing that this girl supposedly did, God, I hope they will free her at some point in time. I don't know if that will occur in a swap or whatever, but I hope something happens that she end up back in the United States. But you guys are right. It all showed the hypocrisy of all of this war on drugs. Okay, we
Oh,
hate
you
the war on.
used it. You
I am
used the
sorry.
H word.
I am sorry, Tim. I am sorry, Tim. Okay. We think that the war on drug is so horrible, and we hope it will end here in the United States. Okay. But other countries have their war on drugs too. And we can't think that's good. So it was either we think they're both good or we think they're both bad. All right.
Yeah.
And I think they're both bad. Okay.
Yeah.
This damn war on drugs that is going on worldwide, it's harming a lot of people. I mean, this is our bodies. We should be able to do whatever the hell we want with it for the most part. I mean, that will raise issues of abortion, I know. But still, this war on drug is devastating, and it's devastating to this girl and her family.
Yeah,
Well, oh,
I agree 100%. However, I also have to point out that she gave herself bad advice or somebody else gave her bad advice. You could just go on the State Department's website. When you travel to Russia, what things should you not take with you? And that would have been one.
True. Yes.
And so
True.
she made a mistake and she has to pay the consequences. That she is also a political pawn, being held not for her horrible sin of having cannabis oil, but for reasons that the Russian government wants to use her as a pawn and to get other people back, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
And hey, I hope it works out well for her because she's out of control now, and she put herself in that position. I think she probably could have gone out, gone without the cannabis oil, uh, to Russia, and she would have been home now. And
Yes.
I feel sorry for her because it's wrong on so many levels. But on another level, when you go into a war zone, you better bring your ammo.
Indeed.
Well,
Indeed.
you
Indeed.
know, what's so appalling about all this too is this woman is clearly at the top of her game. No, no pun intended. But I mean, and she is, economically successful. She's managing her life, and the idea that anybody would then say that, hey, these a little bit of cannabis or something that she happens to be taking is somehow something that a government should step in for is just absolutely ludicrous. I mean, the idea that somebody wants to micromanage this when clearly this person is at the top of their game. But speaking of people who aren't at the top of their game, and you almost wonder if they've got a drug problem or some other problem that we're not aware of. Let's jump to our favorite knucklehead in our knucklehead noise patrol, Joe Biden. We talked about flubbing and flubbing and flubbing, and we've seen endless teleprompter errors, and constantly people apologists for him trying to explain away how they're not errors, and so most recently he was literally on in front of a teleprompter with Kamala and Xavier Becerris, I think that is, next to him, and he was giving an address, and he was reading the silent instructions along with what he was supposed to be saying. So the little puppet wasn't sure where he was supposed to stop. And let me read to you exactly what it was he said here. He said, it is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of men who do so. And then he went on to say, end quote, repeat the line. And then he went on to say, women are not without electoral and or political, let me be precise, not and or political power. So then he just sort of rambled. I guess just an endless battle with the teleprompter for Joe Biden, and teleprompter won again. What do you guys think about this?
You know,
I think, well, before Leon, go ahead, Leon. You did it.
no, no, go ahead. It's fine.
No, no.
Okay.
Okay.
What?
It's we can beat up on this guy endlessly. I don't know if maybe we should try to find somebody else to beat up on because there's lots of them out there on the left, obviously. But the yeah, I don't know how much more we're going to do this. But anyway, what were you going to say, Leon?
No, I think the problem in this administration is run deeper than Joe Biden. Okay, Karen John Pierre, whatever her name is press secretary. So one time she was on CNN or MSNBC, one of them I don't remember, and they asked him, Joe Biden had made some other stupid thing. I think when he fell off the bike, I think is when it happened. Karen Jean Pierre, this is supposed to be his illustrious press secretary, saying, "Oh God, this man is moving around. He's very active. I can't keep up with the man." So I'm saying to myself, this woman, who I think is in her late 30s, early 40s, she can't keep up with this half-senile man. We have a big problem in the United States, a big problem in that White House. If a 40-year-old woman, 40, maybe 42 or whatever her age is, cannot keep up with this man who's half senile, losing his mind, don't know when to stop on a bike and fell off the bike, can't read a teleprompter properly, she can't keep up with him. We have a big problem here. I hope we recognize how big this problem is. It runs deeper than Joe Biden. If Karen Jean Pierre can't keep up with this man, God help us.
All righty then.
Birds of a feather, and I guess if he's the guy making the hire decisions and he doesn't have it together,
Yeah,
there you go.
What was the Kennedy era exercise program called, where they had the high school kids really doing a lot of exercises?
Or the nuclear war drill you're talking about? Yes.
No, I'm talking about
What exercise program?
it was an exercise program for high schools, and it was really a good program that John Kennedy began. Do you remember what that was called?
No, I was thinking about something else there. No, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Anyway,
you try and
obviously
remember.
that has been abandoned. If the 30 and 40-year-olds can't keep up with Joe Biden. So
There you go. Yeah, we need to have some of those Michelle Obama health programs back.
Yeah, we definitely.
or either that, or he wasn't paying attention when she was in the White House. Yes, either way. Anyway, we've come to the end of our show. All we can talk about Flubber for this week. And so there you have it. But we'll see you next week. And until then, stay free.
Yes, indeed.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.
thank you for listening to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. Find us on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, your favorite podcast network, and at knuckleheadsofliberty.com.